بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Last week we started with the book Riyadul Ons fi Bayan Usul Tazkiyat al-Nafs, Gardens of Acquaintance, means acquaintance with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in explaining principles of self-purification by late Sheikh Ibrahim Muhammad Al-Ali, who is either a Jordanian or Palestinian, maybe a Jordanian a scholar who has passed away. And I very much recommend you again to read the end of the book about his life. Some of his friends have written about him, and I was very impressed by his dedication, his knowledge of the Quran, but also his sincerity and dedication. So this is why I was more interested in this book, not just because of its content, which is good, but also because of his sincerity and dedication. And it seems that he was, inspired in saying these things in this book. So we talked about definition of Tazkiyatun Nafs, and then we talked about significance of Tazkiyatun Nafs, and we reached this paragraph. لقد كانت رسالات الأنبياء جميعا صلوات الله عليهم دعوة إلى التزكية. We said that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has had as a major task يزكيهم, to purify. And we explained this, we said there are 4 verses. One is the prayer of Ibrahim and Ismail, and 3 places Allah himself talks about it. But it was not only Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. لَقَدْ كَانَ رِسَالَاتُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ جَمِيعًا. All the messengers had tried to help people with their purification. Of course, as we said last week, no one can purify another person. Even Prophet cannot purify people if they themselves don't want to purify themselves. It's just a matter of teaching and helping and facilitating, but people should themselves cooperate. So all the messengers, all the prophets try to call people towards purification. حيث دعا موسى فرعون لتزكية نفسه. Even Musa alayhi salam asked Pharaoh to purify himself. فَقُلْ هَلْ لَكَ إِلَىٰ أَن تَزَكَّى. Surah Nazaat. Of course, Allah told Musa to say this to Pharaoh. Do you want to seek purity? هَلْ لَكَ إِلَىٰ أَن تَزَكَّى. Do you have any interest in seeking purity? Tazakki is different from tazkiyah, as you know. Tazkiyah means to purify, baba taf'il. Tazakki is to seek purity. Yeah, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى, as we have. Then he says, using a fiqhi language, a kind of shar'i language, he says, وَتُعْتَبَرُ تَزْكِيَةُ النَّفْسِ وَتَحْذِيبُهَا مِنْ أَهَمِّ الْفَرَائِضِ الْعَيْنِيَّةِ. It's wajib aini. It's one of the most important obligations which are applicable to every person. We have wajib aini and we have wajib kifai. Wajib aini is something that every person has to bring. Wajib kifai is obligatory upon all, but if some people who are adequate in number, man bihil kifaya, if they do it, the rest don't need to do it. So this tazkiyatun nafs is not wajib kifai. It's not that we say, okay, in the society we should have some people who are purified. No, every person should be like that. وَأَوْجَبُ الْأَوَامِرِ الْإِلَهِيَّةِ وَأَوْجَبِ الْأَوَامِرِ الْإِلَهِيَّةِ is one of the most necessary and most compelling divine commands. And then he quotes from Suyuti, Jalaluddin Abdul Rahman Suyuti, that أما علم القلب ومعرفة أمراضه من الحسد والعجب والرياء ونحوها فقال الغزالي رحمه الله إنها فرض عين. Suyuti says, knowledge about heart and knowing different illnesses and disease of the heart, like jealousy, self-admiration, showing off, and things like this, according to Ghazali, is fardu aynin. It's wajib ayni. It's something that every person has to bring. Okay. Then he has very good list here. I very much like these lists in this book. Inshallah, in future also you will see as a kind of list in bullet points. He mentions important points, and some of them are very practical and based on, I think, his own reflections and experiences. So he says, أبرز مظاهر الضعف الموجبة للتزكية. The most obvious and outstanding manifestations of weakness that lead to necessity of self-purification. So because of this, you must do tazkiyatun nafs. So if someone says, I don't need, or why I should do tazkiyatun nafs, we should ask them to reflect on these points. Do you see these points in yourself or not? I hope we also reflect on them. It's not just something we learn to teach. It's something that we should learn to practice ourselves. So if you see any of these things, I'm sure you would see many of these things if you are like me. So then you must undertake self-purification. 1. التكاسل عن الطاعات. You know, these are the things that you don't find very often in the books, and I very much, as I said, like it. I don't know, I just repeat because I hope everyone appreciates this book. التكاسل عن الطاعات. If you see, when it comes to obedience, acts of obedience, acts of worship, you are lazy. إذا قاموا إلى الصلاة قاموا كسالى. A kind of laziness, a kind of lacking interest. You are not very passionate when it comes to ibadah. You know, when there is a football game, I don't know, when there is a movie, when there is a gathering, when there is a feast, we are very passionate. But when we want to stand up on our prayer mat for prayer, we may not be that passionate. When we recite the Quran, we might not be that passionate. Why is it that for certain things we are so passionate, even we stand in queue, we buy tickets, for example, we run, we rush, but for ibadat, we are not that much passionate and excited? There must be a problem in our heart. التكاسل عن الطاعات والشعور بالضعف والثقل أثناء أدائها. And when you do start in the middle of your ibadah, you feel الشعور بالضعف, you feel a kind of weakness, والثقل, heaviness. You are not very light and enjoying yourself. You feel it's kind of a burden, kind of heavy. والغفلة عن الذكر وقراءة القرآن, and you have heedlessness of remembering Allah and recitation of the Quran. So if anyone finds this condition in himself or herself, this shows that there are problems in the nafs, in the heart, and we need to fix it. The key is tazkiyatul nafs. Number 2, الشعور بقسوة القلب. You feel there is a hardness in the heart. What is the sign of hardness of the heart? It's a question. How do you understand that your heart is hard? Yeah, but this is the result. This is the outcome. But you understand your heart is hard when there is no easy flow of emotions. If someone, of course, does something to you personally, you will get very angry and upset. Or if someone, does something good for you, maybe you become very happy. I'm not talking about this. I am talking about genuine feelings which are not because of your ego. For example, if you see an orphan suffering, how do you feel? When you see people are in pain, how do you feel? Or on the other hand, when you see someone is making a success, are you very happy? And then, of course, how do you feel about love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How do you feel love for friends of Allah, love of the Quran? How do you cry over your own tragedies? If you remember your sins, if you remember opportunities you have missed, if you remember how much you have wasted your life, are you able to cry? These are manifestations of softness of the heart. And if you don't see them, then you need tazkiyah. الشعور بقسوة القلب وضعف or وضعف, يعني either we can say ضعف is added to شعور or is added to قسوة. You see that there is weakness in تأثره بالقرآن والمواعظ. I think this is outcome. This is an outcome of قسوة القلب, that you feel you are not getting influenced and impressed by the Quran and advice or preaching that people may give you or you read somewhere. When we listen to a mu'izah or read a book on mu'izah, do we take it seriously, or we just read it as a book, like a book on geography and history and chemistry? This is the difference. Number 3, التساهل في ارتكاب المعاصي وإلفها. God forbids, when it comes to committing sins, we find that we compromise and easily may get into it. Even if you don't commit a sin, please listen carefully. Even if you don't commit a sin, but you see that you are not that far from that sin. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Sometimes you commit a sin, okay, that's a problem. Sometimes you don't commit a sin, but you see you are not that much far from committing a sin. It's just a little bit, you are on the edge. This is also a problem, because a muttaqi, a mu'min, should be miles away from even thinking about sin. So if I see I need to pressurize myself so that I don't commit sin, this is also a problem. Is it clear? Because, for example, imagine there is some dirty thing, some rubbish, and I don't eat them, but I feel I have appetite for eating them. Isn't this a problem? It's not just enough that I don't eat them. If there is something dirty, some rubbish, it's not enough that I don't eat them. I should dislike them. Every person, if he has a safe and sound nature, would not like even to go near them, even to smell them, let alone taste them. You don't want even to look at them. So, if for us committing sins is something that we find it easy and we have to pressurize ourselves to go away, again this is a problem. So, التساهل في ارتكاب المعاصي وإلفها. You have some kind of ulfat, some kind of acquaintance with them. So for you, it's not very a strange thing to think about sins. Number 4. This is also a very beautiful point. I very much like this point. عدم استشعار المسؤولية والأمانة. You don't feel responsible. Sometimes we think it's just enough we don't commit sins, we do our wajibat. But are you a responsible person or not? One of the problems, especially today in the world, is that many people try not to undertake any responsibility. They want to just be free to make any decision at any time. They don't want to lose any options. They want to keep their options always open. Some people don't want to get married. Why? Because they think marriage brings commitment, responsibility. Some people get married, but in their mind, again, they try to be as free as possible, for example. Or people, for example, they become part of a group, part of an institution, but they don't want to keep any responsibility. But there are, on the other hand, people who look for responsibility because they know that they have to help, and they know that people who undertake no responsibility don't grow. You have to grow. It's like if you don't become a father or mother, if you have, of course, choice. Sometimes you don't have choice, that's another issue. But if you have choice, but you don't want to become a father because it has responsibilities, you don't want to marry because it has responsibilities, then you will not get that experience. And you would lack that experience for most of the people. Of course, there are people who, without even experiencing this, maybe they already are so mature and responsible. But I'm saying, for a person who has choice, it's important to undertake some responsibilities. Wal aman, to feel that you must be trustworthy You must be honest and reliable. وَزَعْفُ هَمِّ الدَّعْوَةِ فِي الْقَلْبِ. And in your heart, you don't have any concern for tabligh. I think here is most about talabi and ulama and maybe volunteers. How much you have concern for tabligh. Sometimes people have concern for tabligh as a job. Okay, if they pay me, I go for tabligh. If they don't pay me, I don't go. If they appreciate, I go. If they don't appreciate, I don't go. But this should not be the case. You have to feel responsible. You have to have great concern. There must be a pain in your heart if you don't do what you can do. The next point. انفصام أرى الأخوة بين المتحابين. Very beautiful. One of the problems that can alarm you as a person or as a group or a community is that you see that there is no a strong brotherhood. You see, people are friends but superficially. There is no deep sense of brotherhood. These are not real brothers. These are just maybe ikhwanul mukashara. Okay, they sit together, they laugh. But the real brother is the one who is happy to sacrifice his comfort and maybe even his interest for the brother. So if you see the chain of brotherhood is very weak and can break anytime, this shows that we need tazkiyatun nafs. Because if there are impurities in the heart, if there is jealousy, selfishness, greediness, you would not be able to have a strong brotherhood. Another thing is al-ihtimamu bid-dunya wal-ishtighalu biha an fi'l al-khayr. If I see I am very concerned about dunya and so busy with dunya and preoccupied that I don't have enough time or even interest. Sometimes I don't have time, sometimes I even have lost my interest in fi'lul khair, in doing the good. Because I am so busy in dunya and thinking about dunya and giving priority to dunya. If they tell me do something, maybe consciously or unconsciously, I think about, okay, what I'm going to gain in return of the time that I'm spending. For example, we say, okay, please, teach 1 hour. Please go and give this lecture. They think, okay, how much dunya I'm going to gain, or how much dunya I'm going to miss if I don't do this and I do that. We make such calculations sometimes. This is the sign of impurity. We need tazkiyatun nafs. And I don't know, some of you may were there a few years ago in the beginning of the institute. We had a discussion, few sessions, about what is talabegi, to be a student of the seminary. And one of the things I mentioned was that it's a big mistake, but a very hidden and subtle mistake. But it's a very big mistake that some of us try to have dunya and akhirah. You think, okay, we should have dunya and akhirah together. Not only dunya. We don't want dunya. We are not people of dunya. But we want dunya and akhirah together. And then the problem is that your choices would be limited, because then you have to see what are the things that secure your dunya, then among them you choose something that also help you with akhirah. My suggestion was different. My suggestion is that, of course, dunya is important. We cannot ignore dunya. We have worldly needs, our family, ourselves, we have worldly needs. No problem. You don't want to forget dunya. But you must first find out what's the best way to secure your akhirah. What is the best way to learn and to teach and experience true sense of ubudiyah, and among them, maybe there are 5-10 ways that you can do that. Find something that you don't suffer in dunya. Do you understand the difference? Sometimes from the beginning I have both of them in my mind. What can I do to have dunya and akhirah together? I think even this is wrong. Not only those who just think about dunya, I think even to have dunya and akhirah together as your aims is wrong. You have to have akhirah in mind, but you can do many things for your akhirah. Do it in the way that you don't suffer in dunya. Choose among them those things which are good for your akhirah, and your akhirah is the priority. Choose something that, okay, you have something enough to feed your family, to have a proper, reasonable life in dunya, but from the list of the things that you have already identified for your akhirah. So, if we have ihtimam بالدنيا والاشتغال بها عن فعل الخير, this is a problem. Another problem. It's very beautiful. I am very impressed by this list. كثرة الكلام الذي لا طائل تحته. If you speak too much and say things that there are no benefits in them. We don't say you say haram, we don't say you do ghaiba, or you say na'uzu billah, lies. No. Just the things that are la ta'ila tahtahu. Please think about this example I am giving you. Every person must have some weight. Yeah? Weight. And you should not easily move or say something because you have a weight. It's a positive weight. Yeah? For example, if people tell me, let's go somewhere, there is a weight in me. There is a kind of positive inertia. You know inertia? Inercy. In Farsi we say inercy. There is a positive inertia. It means that I should not go somewhere easily. I should not do something easily. I should not make any decision easily. I should not commit anything easily unless I am sure I have a good reason for it. There are people that they are just, like for example, I don't know, a piece of dust, or a piece of, for example, wood or a leaf. Everything, every wind can move them. أتباع كل ناعق. Every call can attract them. But a mu'min should have some weight. If you tell me, let's go somewhere, I should find a good reason. Otherwise, I don't move myself to go there. There must be a good reason. Is it for Saliyah Rahim? Is it for meeting friends? Is it for learning? Is it for helping? Is it for ziyarah? Is it for example, going to a park and get some refreshment, some energy? It's for what? I have to have a good reason to move myself. Not only move my body, but also move my soul. But some people easily move. You know, one of the problems of ghina is that it can cause this type of khiffa, this type of, you know, we say Farsi saboki, a kind of lightness, which is not positive lightness. And also I think the problem with drinking wine is also cause a kind of lightness in this sense. You are no longer in control of your decision. You know, like for example, when you are driving, if you are driving and your speed increases and reaches a certain limit, then the contact between tires and the road become very less. It's almost you are flying. And it's very difficult to control the car. Yes? Especially if it is wet. I think when people are drunk, it's like a car which is driving very fast and it's wet. The driver doesn't have that much control. Or when you are angry, it's like that. Or when you are very excited, it's like that. But a mu'min should be very heavy and very much in control and very much being able to move when he or she really needs to move. So, if someone can speak everything, even if it is not haram, there is a problem. كثرة الكلام الذي لا طائل تحته. Saying a lot of things which have no benefit. وكثرة الجدال والمراء والحديث عن الأمجاد. To argue a lot. You know, in our hadith, it says, رحم الله امرأ ترك المراء ولو كان محقا. Even if you are right, don't argue too much. Especially, I say to husbands and wives that if you have a disagreement, once, twice, maximum 3 times, discuss. Explain your point. If you don't come to agreement, leave it very nicely. Let's discuss this another time. Because if after 2-3 times disagreement remains, then it's better to leave it. Otherwise it becomes emotional and you become more and more stuck emotionally in that problem. You know, if I disagree with you and after 2-3 minutes I accept, it's easier. But if I argue with you 1 hour and then after 1 hour I want to accept, it's more difficult. It's like a car that is stuck in ice. You know, when there is snow, lots of snow, and your tire is stuck. The more you accelerate, the deeper the tire goes. And sometimes it's impossible to bring it out. So when you see it doesn't come out 2-3 times, leave it. At least some person can come and with you together you can push it and release the car. But if you keep accelerating, then maybe even 5-10 people cannot bring it out. So, kathratul jidal wal mira is a problem. And if you are such a person that debates all the time, doesn't accept things easily, then it's a problem. I don't know if you have heard this story. That once a person said to his father that I want to marry. Please help me. His father said, apologize. He said, why? I didn't say anything wrong. I just said, I want to get married. His father said, apologize. Okay. He just left it. After a few weeks, again he went to his father and said, I want to get married. Could you help me? His father said, apologize. So he said, why, Then he tried after a few months. Anyway, this continued 3-4 times. And father was always saying, apologize. So the last time he said, okay, I apologize. Please forgive me. And his father said, now is the time that you get married. Because if you can apologize without any reason, then it's the time to get married. So in your life, you have to learn that sometimes you have to compromise about your position. Even if you think you are right. Every person may think they are right. Of course, some people, sometimes they know they are wrong, and still they insist. But in the life, many times you think you are right because you only see the problem from your own eyes and your own perspective. You think you are right. You have to learn to overcome your interest in proving yourself. You have to be enough, you have to have enough of patience and courage to say, okay, I apologize. Even if you don't know why you have to apologize or what wrong you did. But sometimes you have to apologize so that the relation remains and it can be in future improved. So, kathratul jidal wal mira are problems. Wal hadithu an al amjad. Do you know what does it mean? It means you talk a lot about your glory, or glory of your parents, or group, or family, or city, So, you want to do tafakhur, to boost yourself. Wal mushkilat, is it mushkilat? Yes. Or about the problems. You talk a lot about the problems. And when you talk a lot about problems, then there is a worry. الانشغال بذلك عن العمل الجاد والمثمر المفيد للأمة. Then we would be too busy with that we would not undertake any serious and fruitful action for the benefit of Ummah. You are busy with yourself or your group or your sect. On the one hand, you promote yourself. On the other hand, you magnify problems. And you end up with not doing anything serious and useful for the Ummah and for humanity. Another problem, ضعف جذوة الإيمان. The attraction of Iman is weak. وانتفاء الغيرة على محارم الله تعالى. And you have no ghira towards those things that Allah has prohibited. So no serious interest and attraction towards Iman, and no serious disassociation from maharim. If people commit haram, you don't feel bad. You should at least internally feel bad. Whether you have to say something, do something, that's another issue. But in your heart, you should not be comfortable when people disregard sins. Another problem, ضياع الوقت وعدم الإفادة منه. Maybe normally we don't think about this, that if I waste my time and don't benefit from my time, I have to do tazkiyatul nafs. We take these things very, lightly. But this is very important. if I am a pious, sincere person, and I know that my time is one of the greatest amana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I have lots of responsibility, how should I then allow myself to waste my time? The next, عدم الاستعداد للالتزام بشيء والتهرب من كل عمل جدي. This is very similar to what we had before about responsibility. There is no preparation to undertake anything and to commit to anything and wants to run away from any serious action. This is a problem that is very common in this age. People, according to culture of liberalism and materialism and individualism and hedonism, all these things together have created an atmosphere that people just want to do what they like. And even if you tell them, are you doing this tomorrow also so that I can plan? They say, no, maybe tomorrow I do another thing. So for example, someone who goes to do something bad. You say, are you going to do this tomorrow? Can you promise me? I say, no, I don't promise, because tomorrow maybe there is something else I want to do. They don't want to commit to anything, especially serious things. So this is a problem. Al-fawdawiyya fil amal. Very important point. There is anarchy in action. No order, no organization, no hierarchy. No one wants to be answerable. Everyone wants to do what they like. Everyone decides to do what is more comfortable. Even when it comes to tabligh. Okay, I do it in this way. I am more comfortable in doing this way. If you are happy, you can join me. I'm not going to join you. Many times when we talk about social wilaya and how we should be acting as a community, then some people say, okay, come and work with me. So, this fawzawiyya fil amal, this anarchy in action, no planning, no responsibility, no organization, no hierarchy, no examination of what we do, this is a problem. And these are problems that are rooted in heart. Sometimes there are techniques that we don't know. But if you are a pious person, even you will learn the techniques that you have to know. Khida'un nafs. Deception of soul. Nafs. Our nafs ammara deceives us. How? بأن يتوهم بأنه يعمل لكنه في الحقيقة فارغ أو عمله بلا هدف. Sometimes you think you are very busy. Especially when someone asks us to do something. I am very busy. If my wife asks me to do something, or my parents, or my ustad, or whatever, I am very busy, very busy. Okay. Then we ask them, okay, what are you doing? The maximum is that they take 2-3 lessons every day. Even they don't do proper study, they don't do proper mubahasa. Sometimes they are very busy, but indeed not doing anything really concrete or serious. I am talking about myself. If I, really think what I am doing from the morning till the night, how much of it is serious, how much of it is something that I planned for it, how much of it are things that are useful for my long-term interest, then I may not have good record. So, nafs, because it is not purified, deceives us by thinking that you act But in reality, you are farig. You are idle. In an idle situation, you do nothing. Or you do, but without action, without aim, without hadaf. Another problem, and this is very unfortunately bad and sometimes common problem. النقد لكل عمل إيجابي. To be critical of any constructive work. As soon as someone is doing something good and beneficial, which would not match my models of thinking and doing, or might be new, we criticize. This is very bad. You know, unfortunately, in some environments, to keep people pleased, it's very difficult because they are too critical, but negative, unfortunately. Why you cannot be happy and support, at least with encouragement, with prayer, someone who is doing something positive? No one is perfect, but at least he's doing something positive. How many times you have gone to people who did something good to thank them, to pray for them, to support even little, maybe money or little experience that you have? I am at your service. This is at your service if you need. We normally are not very good in this. Another problem, التسويف والتأجيل وكثرة الأماني. To delay and to have lots of unrealistic desires, unrealistic wishes. It's good to be ambitious, but it's not good to have amani or tulul amal, unrealistic desires and expectations. Another problem is adamu dhikr al-maut. If you don't remember death frequently, وعدم زيارة القبور بين حين وآخر. Every now and then you don't visit the graves and cemeteries. This is a problem. Means you are a person who is not trained in his heart to be thinking of death. One of the signs of not being in a healthy spiritual condition is that we don't think about death. How much you think your death is likely to happen? You know, in some hadith says, even if you think tomorrow is part of your life, if you take it for granted and say, okay, I am maybe not alive next week, maybe I'm not alive, you know, after 2-3 days, but tomorrow I am alive. Even this is tulul amal. Even this is to have unrealistic desires. Who said you are alive even for tomorrow? So, these are signs that if you find them in yourself, it shows that you must undertake tazkiyatun nafs, self-purification. Inshallah, the next session we can talk about arkanut tazkiyah bi'iznillah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help all of us in this sacred task of purifying ourselves. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.